was having a disagreement with this guy I'm dating, and what I realized is that a lot of us, just like myself, I'm speaking for myself, we get so nervous about having disagreements or getting into a conflict. We're either going to avoid it at all costs, we're going to deflect, we're going to get defensive, we're going to run away from it, we're going to do anything not to have the disagreement. And all it is two people sharing respectfully their views about something that they experience. But for some reason, and I can think of a couple of reasons why it's so hard for us to share vulnerably without getting defensive on how that situation made us feel or how we interpret it or how we see it from our own point of view. And it doesn't have to become this huge argument. It doesn't have to raise our voices, or some situations could get triggering. One of the persons can say things they didn't mean because they're just trying to protect themselves. And what I realize is that it has to do the way we grew up and how we see conflict in our household, how we saw conflict within our parents or within our loved ones, and how that made us feel. So in a sense, not everybody grew up in an environment where conflict resolution was in front of them. I know people that never saw their parents fighting, and then I know people and myself that grew up in a very domestic household, whether it's verbally or physically. So that reminds us and triggers us to avoid that situation, knowing that it doesn't have to be that again, and you can mitigate the situation and come to an agreement and respect each other's disagreements, or not even agree with each other, but you get to explain, understand each other, take accountability. You're also able to understand the parts of you that need help and that need healing and that need to improve on. It is crucial that you practice conflict resolution and that you become better at it with other people and not try to avoid it. Like, it's reprogramming your mind that you no longer are that little girl, that little boy watching your parents fight, or getting back to a place where maybe your past relationships you experienced something like that where you avoid it at all costs. It is okay to come forth and have a beautiful disagreement. And I believe that's what gets you closer to the person. I believe in the times of trying to understand each other respectfully, bringing stuff to the table, all it is understanding that you guys have different POVs and that you guys are going to see one situation in a million different ways based on so many things. You know, your programming, the way you grew up, your own belief system, your own reality, what you're experiencing, your emotional intelligence, your level of consciousness, your level of understanding, like a million different things on why you're going to see one thing in many different ways. And the reality is we're getting two very different people together and trying to match and it's almost like forcing each other to see the same view on different things, which is not, it's almost going to be impossible to get with someone that sees it the same way as you, unless you're with your bestie, you know. But it's okay to disagree, it's okay to be different, it's okay not to convince somebody of seeing the situation the same way you do it. Like, it's very selfish to do that. It is more, you're going to get more connected and closer to that person when you have these conflicts and when you practice conflict resolution. And it is more important for me to know how the other person is in a disagreement. I want to know if they're triggered or how they deal with it, or if they avoid it, or if they don't want to talk about it at any cost, or if they're hurt, if they're trying to protect themselves, if they're trying to convince themselves and myself of how they see certain things. Do they raise their voice? Do they say hurtful things? What is their level of emotional intelligence? And that by far will outshine anything else about a person, because that is so important to me. If I'm going to be with someone, that they understand how to come forth, have a disagreement respectfully and understanding me, and not raising their voice, and having this level of emotional intelligence where they're still going to love you through it, and they're not going to allow their emotions to override the situation of how they feel, understanding their emotions, and then delivering and communicating that message without hurting the other person. That's going to show you everything you need to know about a person, hands down, in my opinion. You'll know if you want to go into business with them, if you want to have a relationship with them, if you want to lay in bed next to them. Like, by far, I think that is the thing that gets you closer to the person overall.